I matched with her on a Wednesday night. Her name was Samantha. Blonde, sharp features, big eyes, she looked normal. Friendly smile. Not too dolled up, not trying too hard. We chatted a bit. Nothing deep. Work, movies, weekend plans. She wasn't overly talkative, just enough to keep it going. By Friday night, she asked if I wanted to grab a drink. Said she liked this place called the Hollow Oak, a bar near the old downtown strip. I'd been there maybe once or twice in college. Kind of. A hole in the wall, but decent enough. Cheap drinks. Low lighting. She suggested 8:30. I said sure. I showed up a few minutes early. It was a cold, dry night. The streets were quiet. The Hollow Oak sat halfway down a block of mixed stores and old buildings. Its wooden sign creaked in the wind. I walked in. Inside was dim. A few people scattered across booths and the bar. Low music, not loud. Two guys playing pool near the back. I didn't see her. I checked my phone. 8:29. No message. I walked a little further in just in case she was tucked into a corner. Nothing. I texted, "Hey, just got here. Inside by the bar. You around?" She replied almost immediately. "Yep. I'm outside, out back by the lights. Thought I'd get a little air. Come find me." That seemed normal. It was cold, but I figured maybe she smoked. I looked around and spotted a small exit door near the bathrooms labeled patio in faded paint. I remembered the bar used to have one years ago. It made sense. I pushed the door open. It was heavier than I expected. The cold hit me first, then the dark. There wasn't a patio. Not really. Just a tight space between buildings. Gravel underfoot. Some scattered trash bins. An old leaning fence at the far end. A small, cracked street lamp flickered overhead, buzzing like it was about to die. There were no chairs, no tables, no people. Just a car, a black SUV, maybe 20 feet ahead, engine running, headlights pointed toward me. I squinted. The light was harsh, blinding. I shaded my eyes. "Sam?" I called out, but not too loud. Nothing. I waited a second. My stomach started doing that tight twisting thing it does when something's wrong, but your brain hasn't caught up yet. I looked at my phone, ready to text again. That's when I heard the car door open, not slamming, not fast, just opening. I looked up and saw a figure stepping out, a man, tall, broad, hoodie pulled up. No face, not from that distance. He didn't say anything, just stood there. I stood too, staring. Then he started walking toward me. Not fast, just steady. I didn't move at first. My brain didn't register. I kept thinking maybe he works here, maybe Samantha sent him, maybe this is some weird mistake. Then he picked up speed, not running, just more purposeful. That's when something inside me flipped. I turned around and reached for the door I'd come through. Locked. I jiggled the handle again, harder, still locked. The guy was closer now. I could hear his steps on the gravel. Fast, crunching, no voice, no threat. Just coming toward me. I didn't wait to find out more. I bolted left, toward the open end of the alley. My shoes slipped a little on the gravel. I sprinted hard, turned the corner of the building, ran along the side back toward the front entrance. I didn't look back. Didn't want to. I just kept going. When I got to the front, I rushed to my car, parked right across the street. Fumbled. With my keys, unlocked the door, jumped in, and locked it again. I was shaking. My breath came in short bursts. I looked around. The street was still quiet. No footsteps. No one behind me. Just the bar's front door and the quiet street and my own reflection in the windshield. After sitting there for maybe 30 seconds, I grabbed my phone. Hands still shaking. I opened the app. Samantha's profile was gone. I checked. Our messages. They were gone too, like the account never existed. I opened my text thread. The last message, "Come find me," was still there. I clicked her number. Blocked. I didn't drive home right away. I just sat there, heart hammering, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe she had an emergency. Maybe that guy wasn't connected, maybe. But that didn't make sense. She said back patio. She said by the lights. There was no patio. There were no lights, just a barely functioning street lamp and a running SUV. And the way that guy walked toward me, that wasn't confusion. That wasn't friendly. That was deliberate. Later that night after I got home, I called the bar, just to be sure. The guy who answered sounded half asleep. "Hey," I said, "do you guys still have a back patio area?" "Back patio?" he repeated. "Nah, we closed that off years ago. Just used for storage now. No one's supposed to go out there." I hung up. Sat there for a long time, just thinking. I never told the police. What would I even say? No crime was committed. No one touched me. I didn't see a weapon. I didn't even know who I was meeting for sure, but I know what I felt. I felt like I was being lured, like I was walking into a place I wasn't supposed to, like someone was waiting for me, like I was one wrong move away from not making it out. I don't use dating apps anymore. Not after that. I met Derek on a dating app. He looked normal, smiled and all his pictures seemed chill. He wasn't overly flirty or pushy. Said he liked hiking, dogs, quiet weekends. His messages felt relaxed and real. We talked for a couple of days. Nothing. I could just small talk. He asked if I wanted to hang out somewhere low-key. I didn't want to go to his place. I barely knew him. So I said we should meet in public. He understood, said he respected that, then suggested this place just outside town, Riverbend Nature Reserve. He said it was quiet, but beautiful. There were benches, open space, a walking trail by the water. I looked it up online. It had good reviews. Peaceful, scenic, wide trails. It was only 15 minutes from where I lived, and it seemed like a safe choice. I agreed. We decided to meet there at 6:30 p.m. It would still be light out. I felt okay about it. That evening I got there around 6:15. The parking lot was nearly empty. Just a few cars. I parked near the trail entrance. The sun was starting to dip, but it wasn't dark yet. The air was cool, breezy. I texted him, "Hey, just got here." No reply yet. I walked a little into the trail area. The path split off in a few directions. One side led down closer to the water. That's where I went. There was a bench near a tree, half in shadow, half lit by fading sunlight. I sat down to wait. I kept checking my phone. Still no response, but it hadn't been long, maybe 5 minutes. The place was quiet. Just the sound of water and the occasional bird. There were no other people around, which I thought was a little weird. I'd expected at least a few joggers or dog walkers, but it was just me, the trees, and the river. That's when I noticed someone off in the distance. He was standing in a break between the trees, maybe 100 feet away, just still, not on the trail, not moving. I squinted. He wasn't looking at me, at least not directly. He had his back half turned, could have been on his phone or just standing there, it was hard to tell. I looked down at my phone again. Still nothing from Derek. I typed, "Hey, just checking if you're still coming." Sent. I waited. Nothing. The man in the distance was still there. Same spot. Not moving. I tried to brush it off. Maybe he was waiting for someone too. Maybe he was just enjoying the view. But something about it started to feel off. Not scary yet, just strange. He wasn't sitting or walking, just standing. Too still. A few more minutes passed. Still no text. I glanced back at the guy. He hadn't moved at all. I started to feel uncomfortable. I told myself I was being dramatic, that maybe Derek's phone died or he was running late. But that didn't explain the man just standing there, doing nothing. Not stretching, not shifting, just facing the trees. I decided I'd waited long enough. If Derek showed up late, he could text. I didn't want to be alone out there with a guy watching from the trees. I stood up and started walking back up the trail toward the parking lot. A minute or two in, I glanced over my shoulder. The man had moved. He was now on the trail, walking. Slowly, behind me. He wasn't close, maybe 100 feet back, but it wasn't a coincidence. There were no other people out there, no other cars parked by mine. He'd been watching me and now he was following. I kept walking. Faster. Tried to stay calm. Tried to convince myself it still might be nothing. But I couldn't shake the feeling in my chest, tight and sinking. I didn't run. Not yet. I kept checking. Behind me. He stayed back but didn't stop. Always walking. Always the same distance behind. When I reached the last curve in the trail before the lot, I pulled my car keys out of my jacket pocket. My hand was shaking. I rounded the bend. I could see my car. I started to feel some relief. I was almost there. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Louder. Faster. I turned and saw him, running full speed straight toward me. I didn't think. I just sprinted. I hit the unlock button on my key fob mid-run. My feet slammed the gravel. I yanked the door open, jumped inside, and slammed it shut just as he reached the edge of the lot. He didn't yell, didn't say a word. He just stopped. Stood there, breathing hard. Looking at me through the windshield. I turned the key. My car started. I reversed too fast, tires kicking up dirt, then hit drive and tore out of the lot. My hands were shaking so bad I almost missed the turn onto the road. My heart was beating out of my chest. I didn't stop driving until I was back on the main road in traffic with other people around. Then I pulled into a gas station lot and parked. I checked my phone. No reply from Derek. I opened the app. His profile was gone. No messages, no photos, no trace. Blocked the number, blocked the app. I sat there in my car, breathing, trying to process what had just happened. I kept thinking over it. What if I'd waited 5 more minutes? What if I'd looked at my phone just a little longer before walking away? What if I hadn't looked back? The man never said a word, never smiled, never made a sound until he ran. I don't know if Derek ever existed, or if the man at the river was the one who messaged me, or if it was a trap the entire time. But I do know I won't meet anyone like that again. I know what could have happened, and I still don't sleep well. I matched with Mira on a Wednesday night. She seemed chill, nothing over the top, no weird red flags. We had a few mutual interests in our bios: hiking, old movies, breakfast food at night. Her pictures looked real, not too edited. She messaged. First, said something about my dog in one of my photos. We started texting on the app, then moved to regular messages by Thursday. By Friday, she suggested grabbing dinner. I was surprised, honestly. Most people ghost after a couple days, but she seemed direct, confident, said she knew a place she liked, Chase's Diner downtown. I'd been there once or twice. Quiet spot, decent burgers. I said sure. We set the time for 7 p.m. Saturday. Got there about 10 minutes early. It was already dark and the weather had that kind of cold that makes your fingers sting just enough to notice. I parked out back, near the alley where there were still a few open spots. Not many people were around. Inside it smelled like grilled onions and coffee, that low diner hum of silverware, a clink every now and then. Mira was already at a booth near the window. She smiled and stood up when she saw me. She looked like her photos. Wavy hair, dark jeans, oversized sweater. She was easy to talk to. Made jokes, asked questions, the conversation just kind of flowed. Half an hour in, we were laughing about bad first dates and split milkshakes. It felt normal. Easy. Then my phone buzzed. I ignored it at first. Then it buzzed again, maybe 30 seconds later. Mira looked at me. You can check it, I don't mind. I pulled out my phone. The message was from a number I didn't recognize. Jordan, come outside. By your car. I frowned and showed her. Weird, I don't know this number. She tilted her head, curious. That's kinda creepy. Maybe someone you know messing with you? I shrugged. I'll ignore it. Then another message came through. Come outside now. All caps. I read it aloud and looked at her again. She laughed lightly, but it didn't sound real. Maybe you should just go check. I'll wait here. You don't want to get towed or something if it's a parking thing. I hesitated. I didn't think it was a tow truck driver. Still, the way she said it, calm, like it wasn't a big deal, made me feel like I was overreacting. Yeah, all right, I said. I'll be right back. She nodded and gave a small smile. I'll be here. I put on my jacket and walked toward the front, then around the side of the building. The back lot was quieter now. A few cars, no people. My car sat near the edge of the lot, right where the pavement met the alley under a busted street lamp flickering like it couldn't decide whether to die or stay on. As I got closer, I slowed down. Something didn't feel right. I scanned the lot, then I saw them. 2 men stepped out from behind the row of cars. They weren't talking, just walking toward me, fast, purposeful, hoodies up. One of them had gloves on. Neither said a word. I turned and ran. Didn't think. Just bolted back the way I came, down the lot, around the side, through the diner door. My chest was pounding. My hand was already reaching for my phone. Inside, the warmth hit me like a wall. Plates clinked. Someone laughed at a booth nearby, but Mira wasn't there. I looked at our table. Empty. Napkins still there. Her half of the drink untouched. I walked over, looked around. No sign of her. I texted her. Message failed to send. Tried again. Same. I called. Number disconnected. I opened the dating app. Her profile was gone, not unmatched. Just gone. I stood there staring at the empty booth. The waitress came by. I asked if she'd seen where the girl I was with went. She got up maybe 5 minutes ago, she said. Looked like she was leaving. I left some cash on the table to cover the check, grabbed my keys and stood in the entryway for a while, trying to breathe, trying to figure out what just happened. Eventually, I walked outside again. Slowly. Stayed near the wall of the building, eyes on the back lot. No sign of the guys, no sound. Fewer cars now. Street lights still flickering. I pulled out my key fob and hit the panic button. The car alarm started screaming. If someone was still out there, I wanted eyes on them. Lights. Noise. Nothing moved. I ran to the car, unlocked it mid-sprint, jumped in and locked the doors. I sat there for a minute with my hand on the ignition. Then I drove. Fast. Didn't stop until I got to a gas station with cameras and people. I didn't sleep that night. Kept thinking about her face. How calm she'd been. How she'd said, I'll wait here. But she never meant to. She knew what was going to happen. I reported it the next day. To the police, to the app. I gave them what I could. Her number, the time, the diner, but I didn't have a last name, no plate number, no footage, nothing. I tried looking her up online. No matches, probably fake photos, fake name. I don't know what they wanted. My wallet, my car, me. I just know that if I'd walked a few steps closer, if I'd hesitated, if I hadn't run, I might not have made it back. I deleted the app, haven't used one since. I still think about her sometimes. How easy she made it all feel, how fast she disappeared, how she said she'd wait. I matched with Tyler on a Tuesday. He seemed normal. That's the only way I can describe it. He wasn't overly charming or trying too hard. He had 2 pictures, one with a dog, another hiking in some woods. His profile was short. Said he worked in logistics, liked live music, nothing weird. We started chatting. Messages were casual, nothing deep. He asked what side of the city I lived on. I told him I was on the north end, near the river. He said he lived out west, not far. It felt like normal conversation. By Friday, he asked if I wanted to meet up for dinner. He suggested Cedar Ridge Bistro, which was kind of out of the way. I'd been there once. It was quiet, clean, upscale. I didn't love that it was in a less busy part of town, but I said sure. I drove myself there. I don't let strangers pick me up. Tyler was already inside when I arrived. He stood to greet me, smiled. He looked exactly like his photos. Tall, dark jacket, calm voice. Not awkward, just composed. We sat near the window. The restaurant was half empty. There was low music playing and the clink of silverware from other tables. It was a normal night. We talked about food, jobs, music. He asked me if I lived alone. I said yes, but in an apartment. Then he asked where exactly. I said, the name of my neighborhood. He nodded, said he used to live nearby, then he asked which complex. I hesitated, but said the name. It wasn't a big deal. It's a huge building with multiple towers. He nodded again like he knew it. Then he asked which floor I was on. That's when it clicked. Something was off. I gave a small laugh and said, "What, are you gonna send me flowers or something?" He grinned. "Maybe. So what's the apartment number?" I changed the subject. From that point on, I noticed little things. He repeated questions I'd already answered. He kept making eye contact without blinking, and when he talked, his tone was steady, too steady, like someone repeating a line they'd practiced. Still, I stayed. We were there for about an hour. He paid for his food and offered to pay for mine. I said no. He offered to give me a ride home. I declined. Then he said he'd walk me to my car. I told him it wasn't necessary, but he insisted, so we walked out together. The lot was dimly lit. I parked near the back, close to the edge of the building. I didn't see anyone else out there. We stopped by my car. He didn't try anything, just gave a polite hug and said, "Text me when you get home." I said I would, got in and drove off. The whole ride back I kept thinking about the apartment number thing. How he'd asked twice. It wasn't aggressive, just weird. I got home, parked in the underground garage, took the elevator up to the 4th floor and went to bed. It must have been close to 2 a.m. when I woke up. There was a sound. Not loud, just knocking. Soft, steady, not pounding. Just enough to wake me. I sat up, unsure if I'd imagined it. Then I heard it again. 3 knocks. A pause. Then 2 more. I got up slowly. My apartment door leads into a hallway with a peephole. I walked over and looked out. No one. I stood there looking, waiting. Nothing. I figured it was a neighbor or someone at the wrong door. I went back to bed. A few minutes passed. Then the knocking came again. But this time it wasn't random. It was deliberate. Tap, tap, pause, tap. I got up again. This time I turned off all the lights in the living room before approaching the door. I looked out the peephole. Still no one. But something made me stay there, staring. And then, he stepped into view. Tyler. He walked up like he'd been standing against the wall, knocked twice, then immediately shifted out of sight again, flattening himself against the wall beside my door, like he knew the blind spot of the peephole. I didn't move. Heart started pounding. He didn't say anything. Just knocked again, softer. I stood there frozen. I didn't know what to do. My phone was in the bedroom. I wasn't sure if I should call the cops or just wait it out. Then I said it. Loud. Clear. "I'm calling the police." No response. Stood for another full minute listening. Then I heard footsteps. Slow ones moving down the hallway. Fading. I didn't move for 5 more minutes. When I finally opened the door a crack, the hallway was empty. Just the soft hum of the elevator in the distance. I locked everything again. Closed the blinds. Sat on the floor with my back against the wall. In the morning, I reported him on the app. His profile was gone, blocked his number. It hadn't texted or called, but I didn't care. I never figured out how he knew where to go. I never gave him my unit number. I didn't think he could have followed. Me, I would have noticed, but maybe I didn't. Maybe he left the restaurant before me and waited somewhere. Maybe he asked someone in the building. I moved out 6 weeks later. To this day, I haven't seen or heard from him again. But sometimes at night I still think about that knock. Just soft. Just enough to wake me. And how he was already standing outside. This happened my second year in college. I wasn't someone who dated a lot, but every now and then I'd get on an app, match with someone, see where it went. I wasn't trying too hard. If it worked out, cool. If not, whatever. That's how I matched with Jenna. She messaged first. Said, hey. Her profile was normal, nothing flashy, just a couple pictures, a bio that said she was studying psychology at a nearby school. We chatted off and on for a few days, nothing serious, a little flirty, mostly casual. Then she just stopped replying. It didn't bother me. I'd seen that before. People ghost, life moves on. But like a week later, she texted me again like nothing happened. She was super nice suddenly, asked how I was doing, and we ended up meeting for coffee that weekend. It wasn't bad. She seemed quiet, kinda shy, but nice. Pretty. I didn't feel sparks or anything, but I thought she was cool. I would have gone out again if she'd asked, but after that, she vanished again. No big deal. I moved on. Then a few days later, late at night, I got a text from her. It was almost midnight. Hey, sorry to bother you. I know it's late, but I really need help. I was half asleep, sat up and read it again. I asked what was going on. She said she was at a party and had too much to drink. The girl she rode with had left without her, and she didn't know anyone else well enough to ask for a ride. She didn't want to Uber alone. It caught me off guard. I hadn't heard from her in days, and now she was asking for help? I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but the other part, I didn't want her getting in someone's car drunk or walking home alone. So I said, okay. She sent me a location pin. I dropped it into Maps. It was in a weird spot, not far from downtown, but off to the side, down a side road I'd never used. Behind a bunch of buildings almost looked like an alley. I texted, are you sure this is the right spot? She said, yeah, it's the back. The entrance is back here. I'll come out in a sec. I should have said no, but I didn't. I grabbed my keys, pulled on a hoodie, and drove out. It took about 15 minutes. The last few blocks were dark, quiet. I ended up on a narrow lane behind a row of apartments. No signs, just dumpsters, fences, back doors. I rolled down my window. Heard nothing, no music, no voices. Just silence. Her pin was marked dead center in the alley. I texted, I'm here. She replied instantly, be out in a minute. I waited. Couple minutes went by. Nothing. I started to get that itch. That feeling in the back of your neck when something isn't right. Then she texted again. Almost there, just wait. I thought about leaving. My thumb hovered over the ignition, and then the door next to my car slammed open. 2 guys burst out, running. Fast. One had a metal pipe. The other had something in his hand. Looked sharp, maybe a screwdriver. I didn't wait to find out. I slammed the door lock and threw the car into drive. As I hit the gas, I saw one of them lunge for the handle. The other smashed the side window with the pipe. Hard. It didn't break all the way, but I heard the crack. I peeled out so fast my tires screeched. They chased for maybe a few steps, but I didn't look back. I didn't stop until I was near campus again, surrounded by lights and people and open streets. I parked. Just sat there, breathing hard, heart pounding. Then I pulled out my phone. Blocked. Jenna had blocked me. I went back to her Tinder profile. Gone. I searched her name, searched the pictures. Nothing. No trace. She was just gone. I filed a police report the next day, gave them the location, the time, everything. I showed them the texts, the pin, told them what happened. They said they'd look into it. I never heard back. There was a dent in the door where the guy hit it, a crack in the glass. I didn't fix it right away. Every time I looked at it, it reminded me of how close I'd come. I still don't know who Jenna was, if that was even her name. I don't know if she was part of it or if the whole profile was fake from the beginning. I think about it sometimes. What would have happened if I hadn't locked the doors fast enough? If I'd stepped out to look for her? If I'd walked around the building? I stopped using dating apps after that, deleted them all. Now and then I get messages from unknown numbers. I never answer, because I know now, it doesn't take much to walk right into something bad. Sometimes all it takes is someone sending you a pin